Macmillan Audio presents Dark Alpha's Awakening, a Reaper story, by Donna Grant. Read for you by Victoria Mcgloven. For charity, for your dedication, your organization, but especially for your friendship. Move swift as the wind and closely formed as the wood. Attack like the fire and be still as the mountain. Sun Tzu, The Art of War. The beginning. The nothingness was vast, so far-reaching that it never ended. An eternity of stars and solar systems for her to explore. She didn't know how long she drifted in the darkness, staring at distant stars. It could have been days or eons. Time meant nothing. She didn't even know what time was. One day, she grew curious about a planet she passed. For the first time, she wanted to leave the ocean of black and see what was on the massive globe. Once on the ground, she was astounded to find a world of vivid colors so bright she had to shield her eyes. As she walked, she took in the moist air and the mountains rising around her covered in tall trees and clumps of beautiful blooms that took her breath away. Then she heard it, a deep trumpet call. Unable to stay away, she followed the sound until she came across the beast. She had no idea what it was, but it was magnificent. Tall, muscular, with giant horns extending outward and upward. The soulful, dark gaze of the animal met hers. She took a tentative step closer, wanting to touch such a creature. It didn't move, just waited patiently for her. Suddenly, the animal reared up, a scream of pain bursting from it. She spotted a thin rod sticking out of the animal's neck. The beast tried to run, but its legs buckled, and it fell over, dead. She stared in absolute horror, trying to understand what had just occurred. Then they came. The beings were enormously tall and thin, their limbs long. They wore animal fur for clothes, and their skin was covered in some kind of yellow paste that had dried and cracked. They held weapons and rushed around the beautiful creature they had brought down. To her dismay, they began to cut into it. It was then she realized that they planned to use the beast for food, clothing, and weapons. She listened to their words and slowly began to understand them. One was talking about being hungry. Hunger. She didn't know what that meant. She wondered why none of them had seen her, especially since she stood out in the open field among the tall grass. Yet, not a single one of them looked her way. As she studied the beings, she noted their lack of hair. She reached up and lifted the long black strand that fell over her shoulder. Then she noticed the 3 fingers on their hands. She raised hers and counted 5 digits. But that wasn't the only difference. Unable to watch the animal slowly destroyed, regardless of the reasons why, she returned to the darkness she knew. Except she couldn't stop thinking of the creature and the beings, of the rich colors and amazing smells. She began going from planet to planet, trying to find beings who looked similar to her. Surely she couldn't be the only one. There had to be someone else out there. She finally found them. They were beautiful, each and every one, as was the world. Flowers were everywhere, so many bright and fragrant buds. She spent more time with the plants, admiring the shape of their petals, learning the subtle scents. But she also absorbed the language of the planet's inhabitants as she did. She walked among them, learning their words, and somehow not surprised that they couldn't see her. They were Fae. And while the section...
Sample complete. Ready to continue?